Hello guys, and we are on the fourth game in the pawn chains concept. Now the game is played between Petrosian and Lutikov in Blissey in 1959. The game goes knight f3, knight f6, c4, g6, knight c3, bishop g7, e4, short castle, d4, d6, bishop e2, e5, d5. Petrosian chose his favorite line against the King's Indian, later named after him. He was the first who practiced and suggested different paths for white, explaining all the pros and cons of the immediate advance of the d-pawn. In those years, castling was usually played. White waited for black to play knight c6 in order to advance the d-pawn with the tempo. Now knight a6. a5 is the most popular move here, with the idea to secure the c5 square for the knight. Now bishop to g5. This is a typical prophylactic Petrosian's invention. He is ready to transfer his bishop to h4, even g3. The idea is to prevent black from easily playing f5 or to provoke the move g5, which would create some light squared weaknesses. h6, bishop h4, now c5. Black probably wants to radically prevent white's expansion on the queen side. However, this move cannot be good. It makes a fool of the a6 knight. White will also easily prevent any counterplay involving b5. Here g5 instead of c5, g5, directly eliminating the pin is possible, though this would weaken the light squares. c5, now knight d2, bishop d7. It is apparent that there is no coordination in black camp. Black must prepare two strikes against the white pawn chain, b5 and f5. But it looks too difficult to even achieve one of them. The black minor pieces are on strange squares. With his next fine move, Petrosian demonstrates a new idea. And here knight d7, I'm sorry, knight c7 with the idea to prepare b5 was probably a better option. Now Petrosian plays knight to b5. Now bishop e8, a strange place for the bishop. However, the move was played with the idea to exchange the b5 knight for a knight. Bishop takes b5, c takes b5, knight. Knight c4 is coming. a3. White prepares b4 here. Now queen d7. It is clear that black has gone astray. Just one look at his position is enough to see that he is in trouble. So much time is needed for him to regroup, repress white's initiative, and eventually strike the bases of white's pawn chain. Knight c7, knight c3, a6, b4 with an advantage for white. After queen d7, g4. Another one of Petrosian's trademark. White uses the fact that the center is blocked to play on both flanks. The idea of his expansion is to prevent f5 and cramp black's pieces. Even the h4, h5 strike will be possible after the bishop retreats. The downside is that there is a risk involved with delaying castling and weakening the king side. Here even rook b1 was a good choice, of course, and here castles was the best and most logical move. After g4, knight to c7. Here knight h7 and bishop to f6 and to g5. And here after bishop to g3, bishop f6, h4. After knight c7, now knight plays knight c3 and a6, now a4. b4 here was more natural, although black can answer with b6, or even he can go b5 with a sharp play, and b6 was implemented a waiting strategy on the queen side. After a4, queen c8. Here if a5 was played, and it would have been very difficult for white to prove that he can win the game on the king side. Now h3, a5 was the better choice here, fixing the black pawn structure and keeping the option to open the position on the queen side if needed. Rook b. Now rook b8, queen c2, bishop d7, b3, b6, knight d1. Both players decided not to advance their pawn to a5, preferring to finish development and regroup instead. Now b5, now a5. Finally white played this move, but with a completely different idea, to restrict the black pieces. Now king h8, bishop g3, knight g8, knight to e3, knight to e7. The knight is doing nothing there. It was more flexible to keep it on g8. Here b4 was a better solution. Black blocks the queen side and is ready to counter white's initiative on the king side. Only white can benefit from opening the queen side at any moment. Now bishop h4. Here b4 creating a passed pawn was very good choice, but white played it later. Queen e8, now b4. Now knight to c8. Here cb4, then c5. rook c8, c6, and knight c6, dc6. Now bishop c6, queen b3 is better for white. Black played, however, knight c8, now bc5, dc5, cb5, knight takes b5. Now bishop takes b5. Here Petrosian was afraid of queen takes c5 because of knight to d4 would give black counterplay. Although bishop takes a6, white must be winning. And now rook takes b5, short castle, f5, f3, rook f7, knight dc4, rook b4, bishop e1, rook b7, bishop c3, attacking the e5 and f5 pawns. White wants to break the tension. Now h5. F takes e4 was better here. Although after f takes e4 by white, black is obviously in trouble. No coordination, bad minor pieces, a bad pawn structure and weak squares. G takes f5, G takes f5. Now E takes f5. Black's position is in ruins and it will soon collapse. E4, king h2, ef3, rook f3, bishop d4. Black tries to attack something. Too late, the game is over. Queen d3, bishop f6, rook g1, king h7, bishop takes f6, rook takes f6, queen to c3, queen f8, rook g6, rook f7 and rook g5. Black resigned here. A very instructive and interesting battle. Quite simply, black was unable to deal with the new pattern suggested by Petrosian in this game. Thank you all. I will be meeting you in the next game.